Okay, boomer, she's just a Karen. Go touch grass. Nobody wants to work anymore. These aren't just jokes, these are signals of the growing emotional divide between Gen Z and boomers. I want to speak to Gen Z and how you are feeling because the feelings are always real. It doesn't mean they're always true, but they're always real. You are under an incredible amount of stress. The political situation is chaotic and overwhelming. The financial situation just does not feel secure or stable at all. You're very talented in navigating social media, and at the same time, there's not a lot of places like where do you go to hang out with other people? There's not like a local coffee shop where you can interact. A lot of people have been hurt by churches and religion, and so they're stepping away from that. You're not just going to go to the bowling alley. Like nobody does that anymore. And so you're alone, you are disconnected, you are trying to make ends meet, you're trying to survive. And it's incredibly stressful when you don't feel like there's any support, any loyalty, any here's some financial compensation for your hard work, because at any minute, whoop, you could just get let go or laid off. Or even worse, you've been applying to all these jobs and haven't heard anything back, or you're overqualified. It feels very threatening. And even that word, it's just like, duh, it's unmotivated. Because motivated for what? What is the draw? What is the drive? What is the goal? There's a lot of what am I even doing? What's the purpose of life? Kind of existential thoughts of, well, do I even want to get married? Do I even want to have kids? Well, I can't afford them. And dating is a cluster. And so I don't want to get stuck there. I don't want to feel rejected, and I don't want to feel that's uncomfortable. That's scary. There's no support. There's no guidance. Like, when you look to older generations, why would I want that? You just seem upset and miserable and not empathetic at all. So I don't want that. But at the same time, there's no map. There's no guidance. There's no, hey, this could be cool. Hey, there is another side. You spent all this money to go to college, and the rates of tuition are just blowing up. And then politically, there's a huge divide between, do we trust financial institutions or do we not? And then you come out of college with a lot of debt, and a lot of you don't have a degree that can understandably pay off that debt. And so it's horrible. And then you're told by your parents and older people, well, that's terrible. Don't have any debt, don't have any debt, don't have any debt. And you're like, well, that'd be great. But not drinking a coffee a day isn't going to make a dent. It feels too overwhelming. There's this sense of like, nobody sees me, nobody cares. What's the point? Just discouraged. And so when you get into a job, you're carrying all of that, trying to find your way, trying to figure out who you are. But there's this general sense of like, why do I even trust that this is going to mean anything? And when I say that out loud, I feel even more compassion of everybody's got to have hope. Everybody's got to have hope that, like, yes, I can make a difference, that yes, there is a way. And so maybe that's it. Maybe that's the underlying sense of, why do I not want to work here? Because there's no hope that it's going to amount to anything. And who in the world would just want to keep working harder when there's no hope that it's going to pay off or amount to anything? And so many Gen Zs go, well, I'm just working extra jobs so I can pay rent and not have time to see my kids, if I even can afford kids, or even have the energy to try to go on dates or meet people. But where am I going to meet people? I don't have time because I'm working, and there's just no support or family cultivation. Like, it's just no wonder. And then social media is continually amplifying the weight of what's wrong with everything. And I I don't blame you for not wanting to go out into the world. And in a lot of ways, it's hard. It's exhausting. It's just like, it's like you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean and there's no wind. There's just no drive because you can only conjure up so much drive within yourself. You're reacting off of the environment and the elements and everything. And so I really feel for you. And I hope this video is speaking to what Gen Z is like. And obviously there's exceptions. Obviously this isn't to everyone, but as a whole, I think that Gen Zers, it's like I'm here, I'm expected to just have it figured out and work hard, but I don't trust that there's any reason why or point. And so with that comes also a lot of rise of emotional awareness, of understanding that, man, something's wrong. And words like anxiety and gaslighting and narcissism, while those are clinical words, they often get thrown around, uh, I would argue, too much. And so we can wear those. Gen Z, you can wear these terms of like, I'm stuck in this feeling, and I don't act. And again, generalizing, but I think that's an extreme of these feelings are so real that that's just how they are. And that kind of leads me to, that's the transition between the boomers. Is if we're summarizing, if we're generalizing, Gen Z is like all about their feelings and all the stuff that I just described. Boomers are detached from their feelings. There's just zero empathy, inability to see that. And so how you guys are feeling is, look, I did what I was supposed to do. I achieved this. I did work hard, and so now I get to enjoy it. And I don't understand why nobody else can see that. It just seems like, no, I'm not getting the recognition. I'm not getting the respect that I earned. And I think that's maybe what's happening is the boomers, if there was a lack of emotional acceptance or understanding, I mean, like hard life, you just had to survive. There's not a lot of room for your emotion. But I think with that came the sense that we don't talk about it, we don't cry about it, you respect your elders no matter what. And now that you've arrived at this place of you're not getting the respect that you think you deserve, and unfortunately you don't have a lot of emotional tool sets, and so that can feel very discouraging for you. That can feel very lonely. That can feel very scary too, of like, why is everyone upset? Why don't they just work? Can't they see this is what I did? This is what I was able to work so hard to get. Can't they see how generous I am, how caring I am, because I didn't have that? And that, again, if that's the feeling, I can't argue with that. I think a lot of boomers go, the world can feel overwhelming, especially as you get older. And unfortunately, as you get older, you start losing confidence in yourself. Like, imagine you spend your whole life being really good at something, and that takes the place of emotional immaturity or the inability to discuss how you feel about things. Like, basically, your identity is rooted in what you do and what you're good at. And then as you get older, your body just naturally starts to wear down and you start to lose your mental faculties and physical, and like, it's just like, what do I do now? There's, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and I don't necessarily believe that. I understand where that came from, but I think that's a fixed mindset, and I think that keeps boomers stuck. And it's this tension point of, I need to protect what I've gotten, what I've earned, but I'm not able to, or I'm afraid, or I will not allow myself to learn anything new or accept anything new. And so you have this place of like, I should be respected. I should be elevated because I have earned this and I have worked towards this. And why can't anyone see that? And why can't they just do what they're told, that like they need to work hard? I worked hard, therefore so should you. While at the same time, technology is scary and overwhelming in a lot of ways, and I don't understand it. And so you have kind of these two camps. You have the boomer camp and the Gen Z camp, and they are stuck in their experience. And this leads into the parent-child dynamic, where there's like no contact, where the boomers will go, see what I did, see what I did, see what I did. Can't you? They're sending an emotion message. That's clear. It comes across as, like we said, touch grass, or nobody wants to work anymore. That's an emotion message of, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm confused by your actions and I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to respond to it. And then Gen Z goes, okay, boomer, or you're just a Karen, which is a way of emotion message of them saying, I feel like you're on a different planet. And I feel that I can't connect with you. I just feel so disconnected from you that I don't even have the energy to try. And so you take those two extremes, and over time, what ends up happening in more ways is the Gen Z goes, I know my mental health. I know this. I know I'm trying to survive, and you are not helpful to me right now in that. And rather than expending that emotional energy to navigate that boundary, or maybe I have, and you just haven't gotten it because you don't have any tools, I've decided what I need to do is just put up a wall. And to be clear, this video, I'm all for boundaries. I'm all for walls. I have a heart for people. And I have a heart for relationships. And when there is just a wall, whether it's between a man and a woman, like a wife of like, nope, or whether it's between a parent and a child, my heart grieves for that. Because there is a time you need to be able to, maybe you're so hurt emotionally, you go to the hospital, right? You get a cast. That's what a cast does. But casts come off. You don't live with a cast forever, right? And so what happens between parents and children is the cast just stays on forever. And while it's necessary for a time to allow the healing to occur, it also prevents life and connection. And so the only bridge between this at the workplace or in the home life is, I'm convinced, empathy. I'm convinced empathy is a superpower. Empathy is connected to listening. Listening, not so I can respond with what I want to say, but listening so that I can understand what you're trying to say. So like this video I referenced earlier, they're sitting back to back. They say like, oh, 5-day work week versus 4-day work week. The kid says 4-day work week, 4 10s, that's still 40 hours. What can we do? That's a good balance. And the boomer responds, well, if you can work 4 days, why can't you work the 5th day? And that's where there's going to be a clash until there's empathy and listening of like, look, I know myself. I know my ability to work. It works better for me in the fast pace of life to do 4 10 so that I can have an extra day, because that day helps me rest. And I need that. Oh, that makes sense. You're right. You do have so many more things. There is so much more expectation on you. This is empathizing. And the boomer can say, that's so different from me. That's such a new idea that I don't quite know how to wrap my brain around that yet. And it feels scary to me. And there maybe is a distrust of that idea, because for whatever reason, they go, oh, help me understand that distrust. And that's empathy on the boomer side. But it's not one or the other. It has to be room for both. And so this disconnection between boomers and Gen Z, I think this is a helpful topic because it speaks to just relationships in general. And so if you are a boomer watching this and you receiving no contact, my encouragement to you is to respect whatever boundaries you've been told and work very, very hard at listening. And what that can look like is, I understand you've set this boundary with me for a reason, for a time. Help me understand what you need from me to work towards a closer relationship. That's all you can ask. Help me understand. That's the most powerful question that I found in a relationship is, hey, what is it like for you when we talk? Hey, what is it like for you when this comes up? And genuinely, you can't ask us, what's it like for you? You have to ask it genuinely. You have to be humble. You have to be open. And for Gen Zers or whoever that have done a no contact to your parents, take care of yourself, heal, and recognize that no contact is incredibly damaging. incredibly painful. Obviously you were in pain or you wouldn't have said that in the first place. And it cannot last forever without lasting damage to yourself and to your family. And so work with people that you trust to come up with some sort of game plan of like, write a letter. Hey, this is what I am willing to engage in terms of communication so that we can move forward. Some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Otherwise, it's just a door closed. And that is horrible. It could be a time frame, could be I need one letter from you a month. We'll start there. And if they respect that, awesome. And if they don't, then hey, this is why we're not going to go any farther than one letter a month, because you're not respecting me. And then boomers, that's your opportunity. Oh, I'm not. You're right. You said this and I didn't do what you said. Whereas boomers might go, well, this is what I thought was right, or you told me I could do this, or whatever. And I feel like I'm rambling right now. I got to be careful. But my heart is for empathy. My heart is for listening and helping people connect. And I just, even doing this video off the cuff, kind of hearing empathy helps make sense of things. Empathy, you're told, is putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and it's not that at all. It's taking yourself out of the equation, going, what would it be like for a 25-year-old right now in 2026 with the rise of AI, constant cell phone, social media, lack of community spaces, lack of connection, financial debt, threats of war, lack of community? Like, what would it be like? And it starts to give you an idea. And similarly, what would it be like for an 80-year-old who grew up in a survival where you didn't talk about how you felt at all, where there was no room for emotional development, where there were just things that you just held on to and pushed down and pushed down and pushed down and pushed down, and now your body's starting to break down. And now people are just fast paced. They're speaking different languages than you technologically. So, socially, what would it be like for that person? And then get those two people in the room and go, well, no wonder why it's so hard to connect. But this is where the internet does a piss poor job, because it's very much, again, okay, boomer, and go touch grass. It's like, let's extreme. Let's make it you're good and you're bad. You're good and you're bad. And let's create the divide wider and wider. And that's what this video is hoping to do, is to try to like, no, there's room for both. There's room for both. There has to be, because human beings. And yes, there are, horrible people out there. Yes, there is evil out there to a degree. I'm not saying that there's not. And in no way is this saying you need to like put yourself in positions where you're going to be like hurt again. It's just, can we stretch the window to try to grow, to empathize? And I'm never going to stop advocating for that. Because I believe in it, and I believe in relationship and healing and restoration. And that's where I believe that Christ is the ultimate restorer and healer, who can breathe life into dead things, even dead relationships. And so, again, I hope this is helpful. I think there's a lot of desire for this topic, to hear about it. And if you want more, go ahead and subscribe. Write me some comments, drop a note. I'd love to carry on the conversation. And if you're a man and you're interested in learning more specific tools for how to deal with this, how to navigate conflict, empathize with your wife or your kids or your parents, check out the link in the description. Okay? Much love, and we'll see you in the next one.